Okay, FOS here at Radio Row at the Super Bowl. It's time to talk baseball, though. I've got Curt Schilling here, the legendary pitcher. Curt, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So what are you doing here in New Orleans? Obviously, it's the Super Bowl. What do you like to do when you're here?
Well, there's a primary reason that I'm here, and that is about a mile down the road is one of a place very near and dear to my heart, the National World War II Museum. I was on the original board of directors when it was opened 25 years ago this year. Excuse me, and a lot of people don't know what it is. People in New Orleans obviously know, and with New Orleans being as devastated as it has been over the last 20 years, this week is going to be monumental for the city. And the World War II Museum is the number one attraction in New Orleans. I was in Arnhem in the Netherlands for the 8th anniversary of the Battle of Arnhem this year. Traveled to museums all over the Netherlands, Germany, France. Nothing touches this. It is a breathtakingly powerful place to visit, and so many people coming into New Orleans this year, they'll be made aware of it. But even if you have no interest whatsoever in the topic, I would tell you it'll be a bucket list thing that you'll end up thinking about it as, because of the living history that's alive. I was there yesterday. I nerded out for like 6 hours, got to talk to a 100-year-old World War II vet. There's only 66,000 left of the, I think, 16 million that served or something insane. And so we're in the last decade of these men and women being alive. And it's not just men. There's a lot of women. And they're preserving the oral histories of these human beings, as well as the 10-year history around it. And it's an unforgettable experience.
Nice. Well, even though we're here at the Super Bowl, let's talk baseball, especially because we covered very closely that MLB had a very good season. Business of the league.
Yep.
I mean, the matchup in the end, the stars, the ratings even. And in some ways, you have to look at the changes that Rob Manfred made and say some of these have really worked. What do you make of the efforts MLB has made?
So I was a player rep for about half of my 22-year career and got to know Rob when Bud Selig was the commissioner. Loved Rob Manfred to death. Understand the difficulties of doing the job that he does. Sports has had to take quick dramatic turns because of the social media landscape. The ways you generate revenue today are different than they were 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 decades ago. And that changes, it seems, weekly. And when you look at the amount of, I always gauge the health of the sport by free agency. And when you look at the dollars spent on free agency this year, it's very clear that the sport in most places is very healthy. You could make an argument if you're in Kansas City that it's not as healthy as it is in Los Angeles. But the fact of the matter is, if you go back the last 2 decades and look at the number of different world champions, competitive balance is pretty good.
What do you think you would have done with the pitch clock in your time?
Well, the pitch clock never would have affected me. The pitch clock never affects a good pitcher, because a good pitcher works fast by nature. It's part of players love to play behind guys that work fast. The pitch clock would have never come into effect when I was pitching. And I say to people, the pitch clock only affects pitchers that suck. So if it bothers you, you're not very good anyway.
Got it. Let's talk about you and your run. You know, I should mention and disclose my biases here. I grew up a Red Sox fan. I remember that whole run and the bloody sock. 10 years passed, not into the Hall of Fame. What do you feel and how do you sort of make peace with that?
Well, I never had to make peace with that. The game owes me nothing. The things that I got from the game, the experiences I lived in the game, were far more valuable than what I've given. I will owe the sport forever. The Hall of Fame. I played with guys that were Hall of Famers. I never, for a second in my career, looked at myself and said, "Yeah, Hall of Famer." I mean, April to September, there were hundreds of pitchers better than me. I could have kicked all their asses in October. And that was the only thing that mattered to me, was being, I tell the story. My wife and I, early in my career, my wife, Shonda, and I were talking after my first good year in the big leagues in 1992. And I said, she asked me what I wanted from the game. I said, I want 2 things. I want to win the Roberto Clemente Award. And I want, at the end of my career, if you ask anybody that ever put a uniform on with me, your family's life, win or die, one game, who do you want to have the ball? I would want them to want me to have the ball. And those were the 2 things I worked towards during my career, and I was blessed.
Do you feel like off the field stuff is the reason that you didn't get in?
Oh, sure it is. I don't have to feel that way. It's been outed.
There's performance, and then there's reputation.
But it's
and
been
controversies.
It's been said publicly often that's why. And again, Jamie Moyer and I hate to talk like this, we were the only two players to ever win the humanitarian awards that we won. We swept them. We won them all. The same people that voted for that are the same people questioning my character. And I personally knew a lot of these guys questioning my character. And I chuckle at the thought of those human beings questioning my character. So I know who I am. And as a Christian, I have to rely on the one opinion that matters to me, knowing I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done things that I regret, but I've lived 58 years, and that's kind of what happens in life. I'm not a bad person. I've never been a bad person. I've never been malicious. I've never tried to be evil. Doesn't mean I haven't made mistakes and things that I regret. But much like everybody else, you are where you are today based on all of those experiences. Did you learn from them, or did you continue to make them? And I would like to think the result today of me is a byproduct of learning my lesson.
Curt, would you work in baseball again?
Yes, I'm actually trying to get back in.
What would you do?
Anything. In the sense that I can teach. I love teaching. I love doing color. I don't think anybody on the planet knows more about pitching and talking about pitching than I do. And I always felt like I could talk about pitching in a way that you could go, oh, I get that. And make it, that to me is always the gift in color, is making players. You don't want to hear that Shohei Ohtani's hitting 335 with 31 homers. Everybody knows that. You want to hear what the conversation is being had on the mound in that moment. I know what that is.
It is amazing, though, isn't it?
It's beyond amazing. I don't know it. We've never seen anything alive. I said that Mike Trout was going to be the greatest player anybody alive ever saw, and I believe if you stay healthy, that's the case. But this guy is on a level that nobody can understand.
Yeah. Curt, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Talking FOS.
Appreciate it, man.